Public hearing.
Public hearing Wednesday, November 14, 2018. Mayor, we call the meeting to order promptly at 6 p.m. We request the gentleman to give the invitation. Councilmember Ransom Davies read in the recital of the Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor, we've asked that the agenda be reviewed and approved. Councilmember John Faust made a motion to approve the agenda. Councilmember Ransom Davies seconded. Motion carried unanimously. Mayor, we've opened the floor to comments and questions regarding the proposed 2019 operating budget. Brief discussion of the budget process followed. There were no public comments. Councilmember Tony Fountain made a motion to adjourn. Councilmember John Faust seconded the motion. Mayor Weaver adjourned the hearing. Council is scheduled to convene next a special call meeting on November 15th.
Entertain a motion. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. Being all in favor, show hands. Thank you, council. Unanimous. Okay, November 15th, 2018, called meeting.
Mayor, we call the meeting to order promptly at 6 p.m. We requested John Faust give the invitation. We requested Councilmember Sonny Crockett lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor, we asked that the agenda be reviewed and approved by council. Councilmember John Faust made a motion to approve the agenda. Councilmember Ransom Davies seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Mayor, we entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the appointment of the city manager position. Councilmember John Faust made such a motion. Councilmember Ransom Davies seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Mayor, we will close the meeting. Councilmember John Faust made a motion to come out of executive session. Councilmember Tony Fountain seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Mayor Weaver brought the meeting out of executive session and reopened the meeting. Being no other business to come before council, Mayor Weaver entertained a motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilmember John Faust made such motion. Council is scheduled to convene next at the regular council meeting to be held December 3rd, 2018.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. Being all in favor, show hands. Thank you, council. Old business. Update on city manager's position, Jim?
We will be having interviews on this campus next door.
Do me a favor, go back and explain for the public why we had the call meeting, why we had to go into closed session in order to discuss a few things like that with the general public.
The meeting on November 15th was to review the results of a vote taken on candidates for the city manager position. As you heard in the minutes, the vote was, each council member's vote was sent to the Vincent Institute, and they compiled them, making a report on that evening. Council accepted 4 candidates for interviews. All have been scheduled. All accepted interviews, all have been scheduled for next Monday, the 10th. We have them here on campus in room 318 next door. They call it the seminar room. Interviews will be at 9, 11, 2, and 4. So we will need some time after that, I'm sure, to compose ourselves after 4 interviews. But we'll be meeting here, and next will be another closed session. We opened and moved into closed session immediately for the interviews. I would like for us to be here at 8 o'clock to go over the procedures for the day.
It was all around it, but explain to our guests and the public why we need to go into closed session.
It's a personnel issue. Personnel issues are discussed in closed session rather than
Okay. And it's illegal for more than 2 council members to meet without notifying the press and being in an open session. So what we do is go through the process of a meeting, and then we go into closed session so that we don't get ourselves in trouble with rules and regulations that govern mayor and council form of government. So that's why we're going through the same process over and over again.
I believe that will be open.
Otherwise, we just have a meeting and we could pick who we wanted, but this has got to go through the process. All right? I think that explains it pretty well. Anything to put on that?
The additional thing I'd like to request while on this subject is session. We talked about everyone having a list of 12 questions they would like included on the form. Results to me by Wednesday, and then I will do the compiling of the information and prepare an interview form. That's part of the reason we want to meet at 8 o'clock, a little bit early, so everybody gets to see the questions. And in your package at the work session, we also have some notes, and I cut and paste from Benson Institute's first letters to council, and that find some time to read it before the end, if you would.
And you do have this narrowed down to 4 candidates.
4 candidates.
Being no other, move to item B, sanitation rate increase for consideration.
Council and mayor discussed rate changes at the work session, and does council have a recommendation for consideration?
Open for some discussion.
Make a motion to approve the new rates that are before us, to be advertised, program to be grown, rates implemented February, for a term of 6 months review and research.
Okay, what was the rate increase?
The rates here are listed in the packet.
I need it for the record.
New rate for residential, Jim, correct me if these are wrong. Residential 20, residential senior is 18, housing authority 14, commercial 1 day 25, commercial 2 day service 50, commercial 4 day service 100, commercial 5 day service 125, restaurant service 150.
That's correct.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
At the end of that 6 month term, I would like for us to really decide what we're going to do. The discussion started with a new trash truck. And the employees that run this service deserve to either have a new trash truck or us to make a final decision. In those 6 months, I would really like for us to have all of our questions answered.
Could we have somebody, maybe or whoever we need, either us submit the questions, what we want to obtain information, so we can make those informed decisions in the next few months, kind of building on what we're starting with, trying to build a program and stuff that we talked
Certainly.
about. Okay. Just send them to you.
Present those to me.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor for increasing the rates as scheduled, and a copy of that will be given to the local paper as well as to No Pickens
And we will advertise it, put our,
and Petro News. Where are we, Petro News? Let's see. There we get back there, okay. Jim?
we will also put a letter in the December, well, I hope we do it in the December 25th bills. Water, sewer, sanitation bill.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
No, I do. Jim, I appreciate all the hard work you've done on this. I know that it's been trying because we kept coming back to you with more things that we wanted to evaluate. I think from my perspective, we're looking at this as a slowing the bleeding. I don't want this to be portrayed as an end-all or a solution that addresses all the problems that we found. And we want to pledge to continue to try to make our garbage service more successful, as Kurt said, and also more efficient. So, but I do appreciate the hard work.
Any other discussion? All in favor, vote with show of hands. That's unanimous. Item C, vacation policy changes. Yes, sir.
Personnel Committee recommends that accrued vacation be changed from 40 hours per week to the scheduled hours that employees work. That would be a change for firefighters to 56 hours, police 42, and water and sewer employees 42 hours per accrued week.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
A motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second, discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. It's unanimous. Item D, blight ordinance.
Mayor, I brought the ordinance that I drafted to them last month, and I'm sure they've had time to go over it, and I mean, from my perspective, it's ready to be introduced. Got to have 2 readings, and it's ready to do that.
Motion? Council, have a copy of the blight ordinance?
I brought about 10 or 12 copies last month.
I thought we had a few.
I'll send a copy in my packet.
But I didn't bring any more tonight, so copies of it anyway.
Bill, you have yours to do the first reading? Stated.
I didn't bring the copy with me, I
Oh,
thought we
okay.
might have one. But we've all been over it, several times, and,
Lisa's got it, right.
well,
That's what you handed out last night.
okay. I would ask that you just, have the first reading based on my handout, unless y'all want me to read 20.
No, motion to approve the blight ordinance as presented by city attorney. Next reading, final reading next month. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion?
Discussion.
Motion, I'm sorry?
Second, so we can go to discussion.
Well, that's where the next process will be. Motion got a second. Any discussion?
I've got a couple of questions, Bill, I'd like to ask
Mm-hmm.
on, the ordinance on powers of the city managers. The designee would be the 3rd page, section A1, where it says public officer may apply to the municipal court. Can we change that to the appropriate court?
Well, we can, but the blight law, as it reads in the state statute, says municipal.
Okay.
Why would you not want to?
I didn't believe the municipal court had the power to do that.
And then I suppose.
But then after I did research and read the law,
Okay, and that's.
municipal court does have the power.
Okay.
Okay. And then on the,
With the municipal court having the power, that doesn't eliminate the other governing bodies
Oh,
of the
no.
judicial system to have that authority. So what I believe this would do, Mr. Mayor, to answer your question, it would allow, if our municipal court judge is out of pocket, our local judicial officials that have jurisdiction over this would be available to our officers if needed.
Which the Superior Court is the appropriate court.
Yes. Just as a way to make it more efficient.
The first court, obviously, would be the municipal court, and you would have the opportunity, if you were one being accused of such an offense, to appeal to the Superior Court if you so choose. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Any other discussion?
the way absences are governed by the judicial bodies of the state of Georgia is any judge of that court can sign an order designating another judge to sit as the judge.
Okay. Any further discussion?
okay, on the next page, Bill. On section A, you had a number 7, the presence, or was missing from the other draft, the presence of graffiti which is visible from adjoining public or private property. Was there, what was the reason taking that out?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's on, it says, complaint in realm and municipal court, procedure, lien, and appeal. Section A, you've got 1 through 6, but
That's
rough
the
draft,
fourth
we
page,
had
is
7.
what he's talking about.
Well, that's what I had. I didn't take it out for any reason. I mean, if I've left it out, we can include it.
Well, yeah, if you don't mind, could we put that back in?
Can we put what back in it?
Number 7, presence of graffiti.
You'll have to give it to him, he doesn't have
I
that.
don't have that.
I'll give you the copy of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make a note to go ahead and do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
On on page 6, in the section, limited liability for code enforcement for no special duty created. Basically, right there where it says, plan or design for approval or inspection. Past that, can we put,
I'm hold on just a minute.
okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm on the right page now.
Okay, right there where it says the approval or inspection, can we put or activities by the cities, its officers, employees, agents, issuance of such permits and approval?
I'm trying to find it.
Other than the fitness of being like that.
Well, this language mirrors the state law.
It, yeah,
I'm done with that section right there. The rest of this, I'm gonna do that.
I can add it in there, we won't change the, it won't change the meaning. Well, yeah, we can add it in there.
okay, thank you, Bill.
But there's, I don't know, I didn't have that language in mind, so. Anything else?
Mr. Pickett, with these changes, will this still be considered the first reading?
It will.
Motion to approve this as the first reading. Got a second, motion and second, any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote with your hands. Appears to be unanimous. Item E, Burton Street property easement update. Mr. Pickett?
I've got the easement prepared. I have asked Ms. Dobson to call a meeting of the housing board. They've got to approve it. They're the ones that sign it.
Okay.
So I'm waiting on that. And that should happen, well, we had Thanksgiving, so it should happen here real quick.
No action, we'll move forward. That will be item on the next month's old business agenda. Item F, 125 North Main Street purchase update, Mr. Looney.
Talked to Phil Landrum
About this, last week, I had been trying to set up a date with Ryan, with the Community Bank of Pickens County to get the loan application completed. Phil's got some questions, is setting up a meeting for
Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Wednesday at 2 o'clock, thank you, Bill, at Community Bank of Pickens County,
Who's meeting Wednesday too?
in Ryan's office.
Who's meeting there? Are you meeting with Ryan?
I'll meet with Ryan, Phil has been invited, Phil will be there and Ryan.
So there's no action at this time, moving forward. Next item under old business. Item G, Georgia DOT project update, Jim, and that old Highway 5.
Yeah, I think Bonnie has got some information from that today. We went to the monthly road meeting at the courthouse.
They have indicated, well, about a month ago, we got an email from the DOT stating that they needed plans as far as our utilities. They have hired 2 different groups to locate all of our utilities, and they were looking at moving them to widen the road and everything. So we got in touch with Lamar at Mr. Turnipseed's office. He sent out a booklet I have one in my office, and one was sent to the DOT to just meet their requirement as far as our utilities, and they're gonna look at and see how far they have to be moved along with Mr. Turnipseed's office. We talked to them today. Question that I asked was, when do you think this is gonna happen? The people in Cartersville that I've talked to says that we need to start moving forward with everything that we need to do because it was gonna happen. But,
Comment. I'm a little confused.
we're talking about the big project.
Okay, I thought we were talking about this project from the speedway, where you were going to do the mapping.
That was been scheduled for this week. This is the DOT project, I think you're doing.
Okay, I don't know why I got old Highway 5 on it.
I can update you on that one.
Okay, sorry, Lonnie, I was trying to figure out how the speedway was gonna come up.
The gentleman from the DOT today said that they would probably move forward starting in like May, June, July of acquiring some properties and different things in the year 2020. As far as the finances.
They're not gonna do it next year, 2019. So
No.
we're looking another year before we start acquiring right away.
Well, that's the way we understood it
Okay.
today.
Funding was,
Was in August of 2022 is when they're expecting to have all the funding set aside. Now, there is a utility aids grant that we can apply for to help us pay for all the moving of the utilities, the relocating, and the people in Cartersville has told me that we need to start working on that. So start moving forward with that project as far as seeing what we need to do to file for that grant. And Mr. Turnipseed's office, Lamar with that office, he's aware of how that works, and we're going to contact him and see what he needs from the city. So they say it's going to happen. More conversation is happening now than it has since I went to work here. So they are wanting us to move.
Did they discuss the amount of funding that would be available for relocation?
He said that it could vary, but it could pay for it all.
In the past, they discussed it would be an expense of the state.
Well, now there's a utility aids grant, and the DOT funds that. And they said we do need to go ahead and start moving forward to that and have that in line whenever they decide to move.
Okay, that would be something that we can pay attention to with the council and have a regular update on that and how we're moving forward.
Okay.
Okay, with that, let's spin back to Highway 5. There.
Purchase order's been issued, and Trail to do that work, and it's scheduled for this week.
Now, they run the camera through it at all, you made any of that work yet?
That's what's scheduled for this week.
David and I were discussing the size of that color line.
Well,
Did anybody get a
that'll
chance to
be
look
de-
at it?
That'll be determined when they run the camera.
Or I go down and put a measuring stick on it. It's too small. But anyway, that's something David and I better take the color over, or coat, whatever it was. But anyway, anything else, council, on these two projects? We might leave them for old business.
My agenda doesn't have 5 on it, is there, how many agendas?
No, that's the note that I made myself. That's the note I made myself. Item H, request approval of 2019 operating budget and resolution, Ms. Hoyle.
And this is the final step in approving our operating budget for next year. I presented it to council, last month. We had a public hearing, and all the advertising has been done. It's been put out there for, available to the public all this time. So tonight, we're asking that you vote to adopt this budget for 2019.
We entertain a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve the 2019 operating budget.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to discuss, any discussion? I am reading also a resolution. Do you have a resolution?
I do have this.
Let's read it.
I had it printed out, I forgot to hold it. Okay. Resolution, whereas the council budget committee reviewed the mayor and staff proposed operating and capital budget for calendar year 2019 for the city of Jasper, attached herein and made part of this resolution through this reference, and whereas the city council of the city of Jasper, city council reviewed the mayor and staff's proposed operating and capital budget for calendar year 2019 for the city of Jasper, as recommended by the council budget committee, and whereas the agenda for the November 5th and December 3rd, 2018 meetings of the mayor and city council were duly posted, as well as the agenda for the November 14th public hearing, and the proposed 2019 operating budget and all related material were made available to the interested parties. Now therefore it be resolved, the mayor and council of the city of Jasper adopt the 2019 operating budget.
With that, I'll have a do this again with a motion to approve the resolution as read. Got a motion? Motion second, discussion. Being all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, committee. Thank you, everyone involved. Item I, request approval of alcohol license for Peking Garden. Sonny, you can do it where you're at.
Mr. Frank Ping, who bought the Peking Garden, has gotten his fingerprints back and has completed his time of advertising. And we would ask tonight that his license be approved.
So he's met all requirements.
He has, yes.
We entertain a motion to approve the license for Peking Garden.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Being all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. Thank you, Sonny. Item J, Car Club street closing update, Kurt. It's all
So,
you.
on this, if you recall the previous minutes, I spoke to the owners and the businesses on Main, and at this time I'm waiting to work with my cohort on contacting Car Club themselves.
Okay, what give us feedback on what the merchants are saying? And we actually have one list tonight that came in.
So, with my discussion with some of the business owners and merchants on Main, it was discussed that the car shows did not have a positive impact on our businesses.
Okay.
It was pretty simple,
Okay,
and that was across the board.
Okay, so, but no one has notified the car club yet?
I have.
Are you solutions that we might be able to accommodate both parties?
I have not done.
So I guess you'll be old business again next month.
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that, item J will be going to old business for next month. Under new business, Joe, welcome. Item A. liability insurance renewal. It seemed like just yesterday.
It always does.
Joe, we're hoping that your numbers fit in with our new budget.
I'm very glad to say that they do.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I've got it all listed out right here, but I really want to thank Lisa and Stella. They have went above and beyond, I think, this year in helping us try to figure this thing out. The experience modification on workers' comp came from 169 to 161. We're headed in the right direction.
Wonderful.
And Stella she's really gotten into the loss control. She really likes the idea of it, and she's working hard. So with that, really the only difference we're seeing this year is purchasing a new fire truck. And we brought back some equipment, I think, that had been parked, and I think it's been resurrected and put back to work. And that's
What we bring back in this part?
I'm not sure I'll have the percentage.
she sent a whole new list, and we did pick
Sure,
up.
we sold, I thought we sold that part.
A lot of it did go. We took a lot of it off last year. But with that, that's really the only changes.
Questions, council?
You also said asterisk under practices liability for this year. Can you explain that to me?
Practices liability.
It's on page 2 at
Page
the
2.
bottom.
That's employment practices liability. That had an asterisk on it where, as far as the competitor where I went out and got it, they just didn't want to give the expense. They wanted to put it all inside the limit. I should have removed that asterisk. This year, it does include expense, and it's outside of your liability.
Okay.
So it's the same.
That's my thought.
Mhm.
Thank you.
One other benefit that is coming with that will be some look at the new form here. Identity theft. They are giving some identity theft to police officers, firemen, your professional employees, council. It'll be identity theft coverage for you in the event something happens to you. You know, you've got coverage for that now as well. There's no charge for it. It was just an add-on, a giveaway, so they say.
Thank you.
They're trying to enhance their forms, which they have. You've got the broadest forms I've seen in municipalities, so it's really a good program. Any other questions?
Let's go ahead and make for the public what the rates are and what the coverage is. Just a little bit over your page, just people trying to read between the lines here.
Okay, last year, the property casualty liability and professional coverages, the city paid $128,215. This year, with the addition of a fire truck, almost $600,000, I think, and a few pieces of additional equipment, the premium went to $135,048. On the workers' comp, we tried to estimate, and thanks to Lisa and Stella, what we thought any overtime would be. And we've incorporated all of that in there. And even with that, it's still, it's wound up, you're gonna be about 3% lower at the workers' comp cost of 208. That's with the estimated overtime. So hopefully we won't get a big audit, and you may even get money back for what we're talking about.
It went from 1.69 to 1.61.
1.69 to 161.
Okay.
We've had workers' comp claims pay out and a few things like this over the years.
Oh, boy. Yeah. We've had
I mean,
some
we're
tough years.
pretty much on the right
But
track.
we're headed in the right direction, man. We're headed down.
And Lisa, do you want to tell us what we have budgeted for that?
I don't have a total.
What we budgeted for it
For all the departments.
was right here because we worked into it, so we're good.
We're good?
You get that from your insurance agent. So Joe, you gonna call for a
Well,
motion?
that's, I was just gonna put it on, yeah.
Entertain a motion to approve this as presented. Got a motion to approve?
So,
Motion is second, I had a split decision. Give that to Kurt. And any discussion? Being all in favor, vote with your hands. Thank you, Joe, thank you again. I hate putting you through that, but I want the public to have a little more idea.
Anything that you need, we'll do it.
Thank you.
Item B, Planning Commission report. Robert Walker is not here, so Lonnie, Jim? Sonny, we're deferring to you.
The planning commission met on the 30th of last month, and they voted to recommend to the council that the project that JR had put before the city council and the planning commission, that it be approved.
Okay. They postponed their hearing, did they not? And they had,
Beg your
this
pardon?
meeting that they had tonight was a follow-up of a postponement?
It was
Yes.
tabled at the first meeting.
Okay.
The meeting was rescheduled and advertised, held the Friday the 30th.
Okay, why was it postponed?
One of the members wanted to review the property.
Okay, and was any discussion at the meeting over the review of the property, or?
No.
I was not there.
The member did go with, I think with J.R. McLaughlin to the property and looked at it and got some more information, and he came back and
Okay,
made the
I know
motion.
it's been on here for a while.
Right.
And did you have a chance to discuss with the planning commission concern I gave you at the meeting prior
Not
to?
at the planning commission because I hadn't had time to research it. So I think that you have a letter in the package, and I've got some information from research that's been done.
Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to you and let's address the issue at council. And JR, I think I spoke to you this morning and you were going to defer this, and I just want the council to be aware that this property that you own was served with water and sewer by a grant from the Appalachian Regional Commission, and the impetus from the ARC, the Appalachian Regional Commission, I'll stay on the term, is to create jobs. And this project was audited in the year 2014, and we took quite a, I won't call it a beating, but it was definitely a thrashing from an auditor from Washington, D.C. on the fact that we had not met the requirements as they assumed would be completed on all this property zone commercial that had been developed for job creation. That's where my apprehension comes on the issue about changing the zoning without notifying the Appalachian Regional Commission that we have changed the rules in the middle of the stream. With that, Jim, give us your report.
At the same time we talked about in our prior meeting, possibility of restrictions on the TIFA loan,
No, ARC.
ARC on the grant, or regional commission on the grant, Chifa on the loan.
Chifa has no restrictions, ARC grant does.
That's what I determined today. Oshabar Hartman told me that there was no loan restrictions, no
Who is
jurisdiction.
this?
He is with Chifa,
Chifa, okay, yeah.
project manager with Chifa. He thinks we are in the clear. Talked to Ethan Calhoun, the regional commission, and reading your letter from Tammy Decker, I believe his opinion was much the same, that while not really seeing any restrictions, he wasn't willing to make the opinion on it until we spent some time researching.
Well, along those lines, I asked for an engineer to give me that letter today. They would. I talked to Tammy Decker today, and she is going to do research. She's concerned with the status of footing that we have. But my concern is I went through at least a 3-day ordeal with a gentleman from a contracting firm for the ARC, and he was not happy with the city at that particular time. And Lisa, can I ask you to read this for the council dealing with the audit report that we got from this gentleman? Let's read, you do a little highlight what he's doing and then read the results. And from that, I'll let the council move forward, but my concern is with the liability of the city of Jasper and what we intended when this project, these two projects actually were done in order to develop that property for job creation.
Sonny, do you know when this first came to the planning commission for approval, what the date was?
I'm sorry, did he call me?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I do not.
But the mayor clearly stated it's been on the agenda for quite some time. I'm just a little
At least 2
concerned
months,
why,
isn't it?
the work session before we're gonna potentially approve it is when we get the concerns that presented to us. Seems like some of this work could have been done proactively.
Seems to me like it would have been, you can't expect me to do the work? I just had to my attention that we got an ARC grant where we're trying to change a piece of property that was once set aside for commercial, and instead it's zoned commercial today. Read the, I'm not sure what Mr. Proctor's asking me, but we'll go ahead and read the situation we're at, and we do these things at meetings like this, Dr. Proctor.
I don't appreciate the tone, Mayor Weaver, but what I'm trying to understand is why, as a project moves through the system, why these type things aren't identified early on so that they can be handled in advance, so that we can move a little more quickly on some of these projects.
Same to you with the tone, and we'll move forward with this. Ms. Lisa, would you please read that?
I'll start with the objective. The firm that did the audit was Watkins and Egan LLC, and they're no longer around, but they did the audit. They contracted with the ARC. They were engaged to conduct a performance audit of the city of Jasper Water Storage Tank Grant for the period September 30th, 2009 to July 1st, 2013. The purpose of our performance audit was to determine the following: funds expended and claimed for reimbursement from ARC and matching funds reported to ARC were valid program expenses and in accordance with the ARC grant requirements. Internal controls were in place to ensure compliance with the grant requirements, and goals and objectives of the grant had been achieved. The summary: grant funds were used to assist in the construction of a new 500,000-gallon water storage tank and installation of 9,000 linear feet of supply line near the southern section of APD Highway 515 in Pickens County, Georgia. On behalf of ARC, Regional Rural Development reimbursed $300,000 in ARC funds. Move down to the scope. We completed a performance audit of the city of Jasper Water Storage Tank Project at the City Hall of Jasper from February 17th through the 19th, 2014, as described under the section and under the audit methodology section. Our audit was based on the terms of the grant agreement and on the application of procedures in the modified ARC program. I'm going to move on down to the results. Grant funds were used to assist in the construction of a new 500,000-gallon water storage tank and installation of 9,000 linear feet of supply line. Rural Development reimbursed $300,000 in ARC funds to the grantee during the period of the grant. Matching contribution was $770,758 were identified, comprising $400,000 from GFA in the form of a low-interest loan to the grantee, and the remaining $70,758 contributed by the grantee. Total expenditures for the grant were $1,070,758. We examined supporting documentation for all the expenses incurred against the grant. All expenditures tested during the audit appeared to be valid, adequately supported, and in direct relation in supporting the grant and its objectives. We also noted the grantee had appropriate procedures in place to monitor contract compliance with Davis Bacon Act, fair wage requirements. Through inquiry, review, and observation, we sought to validate the outputs and outcomes expected from the grant award as detailed in the grant approval memo. Anticipated outputs were the construction of the 500,000-gallon water tank and the installation of 900 linear feet of supply lines. The anticipated outcome measure included in the grant approval memo was to create 300 new jobs within 2 years. During field work for the audit, we physically inspected the new tank. We also requested evidence from the grantee regarding the number of new jobs that were created as a result of the water storage tank construction and installation of the supply line, and determined that the performance measure of creating 300 jobs within 2 years had not been met. Through discussion with the grantee, it was noted that the City of Jasper's economy is currently in the midst of a recession. Consequently, numerous businesses have closed their doors, and land development has stalled, and businesses that were expected to open their doors upon completion of the water storage tank have not been able to do so. As a result, the City of Jasper's local economy has experienced a net loss in jobs over the last 2 years. With the infrastructure now in place, the grantee remains hopeful that the economy will recover and that the existence of the new water tank will be a catalyst to encourage new businesses to set up in the area. At the time of the audit fieldwork, the project was still within the 2-year period to accomplish the outcome measure cited in the grant approval memo. We recommend that ARC continue to monitor the anticipated job creation metrics through their validation processes.
Basically, council, water and sewer line would not be in that location without ARC grants and with rural development grants and loans. And my concern is, before you move forward with this, there needs to be a clarification from the Appalachian Region Commission that this will be okay with them, because they could, if they don't request their money, they could hold us up on the next grant, such as our wastewater treatment plant expansion, by going against their guidelines. This is their money that they gave to us for this water tank, as well as a project in 1994-95 that got the sewer line in that project as well. And every project up through there is zoned commercial. And now we're asking to change the property back to residential, or to residential. And that's my only concern. If they're willing to do it, and you're willing to vote to change it, I don't see a problem with it, but I just need for you to know, because I lived it and I've been there. That may be why my tone's a little bit more brusque than it needs to be.
Jim, have you reviewed this information?
No. I'm
Can
hearing
council
it.
be provided a copy of that?
Lisa, does it talk about what kind of jobs are created, or zoning as it relates to creating jobs, or does it just talk about jobs in general?
I don't see anything about zoning or the policy.
At several of the meetings that I've attended over the years, I was all about building houses, getting rooftops and whatever, and running sewer. And ARC would totally remove itself from the conversation, job creation and job creation only. And I know Jay was going to talk about how multifamily housing is going to have multifamily, but I asked that question back in the day and didn't get a good answer for it. But with that, I'll ask Jim, do you have any other thing to add? No. Mr. JR, you can be recognized.
Thank you. Got some information that may be helpful to the discussion, will be helpful. Going a little bit different order than what I thought, but information we pulled up from package for each of you. in regard to jobs creation, when this issue was raised, right on page 1. If anybody else wants one, I got a few extras. There you go, thank you. When the question came up about jobs creation, just tonight heard the number, 300 jobs in 2 years in 09. Yeah, that was, good luck with that. We know what we're
All the way through 14.
Yeah. So, looking at, what jobs have, because that was my first question, what's the criteria? And has the criteria been met yet? And, so, I'm going back through and looking at, my business partner, Craig Mefford, was instrumental in developing a lot of the land where the Fats restaurant is, where the shopping center is, and all, back on Jonah Drive, where we're considering tonight, Jonah Lane. And they, those companies spent millions of dollars to extend, and the city provided the sewer and water, but it was all private money that put it in on Jonah Drive, Noah Drive. That sewer and water was all installed by the developers.
Attached to the
But attached to the existing, but that
line
mile was an extension.
that was run there for job creation.
Right, that's correct. So, looking at the job creation since that was installed, since that time we have Walmart, Home Depot and all their ancillary stores, Kroger and the stores around them, the shopping center where right beside Fats restaurant, Dunkin' Donut, we have a new car wash, Culver's is going in, H&R Block, we have New Beginnings, we have Bodyplex, we have the dance studio, we have the entire industrial park. And I'm just talking about just looking at our neighborhood. I have to question about whether or not the number's already been met, but I don't have a specific census, so I can't say, but I'm just making the point. And if you look at, one of the things I want to share with you, share with the council, is just an overview here, because from the city of Jasper, there's zoning ordinance for R3. It specifically says that these districts will be located in areas with convenient access to collector and arterial streets and can be developed as transitional uses between single-family districts and commercial districts. So just like to turn your attention to this Google map, and you'll be able to see it as to where this is. There's Jonah Drive right here. There's residential, and here's commercial. There's Walmart. There's a shopping center. That's Fats. You can see I don't think I could find a better spot to put some apartments that's not an industrial, that's not in the middle of a residential neighborhood that's going to have people driving through homes. If this was, where we were having to access residential streets or something like that, I'd personally have an issue with it. But I don't think I can find a better spot to put it based on what that criteria specifies. So on the first page of this book I just gave you, talking about. I understand. Hey, who asked you? It says the resident. We're talking about 100 units, approximately. It says who live in those 100 apartments annually generate $3.06 million for the local economy and support 33 jobs because of the people that live in those apartments. The operation of the apartments alone will create 6 permanent jobs, and the construction of the apartments will generate 161 jobs. One of the other, you actually had this report previously, and I'm not sure if you read it or not, but there was a couple of references in here, and one just briefly, I'm not going to read all this stuff, it goes on and on. But it does say that the average value residential construction pays for itself and begins generating surplus revenue for local governments in the first year of construction. Not only is the revenue more than enough revenue to cover the current government expenses in a given year, it's enough to pay off interest on the debt within a year. Typically, is what happens when you're doing a multi-family development. So I understand the issue about apartments. These are not rent subsidized. That's been brought up. These are market rents for professional people. So we would be bringing 100 families, basically, with good incomes that would want to live in Jasper and want to be drawn here. I think that given with these reports and other businesses and jobs that are created and that will be created, I don't see this as negative at all. Because the alternative is that we leave it as is, and it's already been 14 years since it's been developed, and it's still not created a job. Now, I built a little office warehouse on Journey Lane. I did that.
You've got commercial already started on the other side of the road.
I did, but that's mine, and I own it, and I have no issue with it. If I intend, if we, actually, because that's just a small packaging company, you know, I think you went and visited with Mark today, Mr. Mayor.
I did.
Yeah, he let me know, thought that was interesting, but,
Why would you think that's interesting?
thought it was interesting.
Well, the mayor can do a lot of things when he's trying to figure out what's going on with
I
the city.
understand. So if the apartments are approved, it is most probable that, since I'm buying his business anyway, that we will relocate his business to a more industrial setting, and I'll probably end up turning that into retail.
Well, you have actually stepped across the bounds with industrial already,
Yes.
manufacturing in a commercial zone.
We're not manufacturing, we're just packaging, it so it fits in C2.
He said-
We're not assembling, we're not manufacturing, all we're just putting some pieces together.
Well, I still think they created jobs there, so I was proud of it.
We did create some jobs, and I'm hoping to create some more jobs. I'm hoping to create,
And listen,
33
I'm just telling you the technicality that has come up with this property when it became more under the scope, because I've not been doing a day-to-day operations job here like I have in the past, and I've played catch-up on this once I realized that you were putting apartments on C2 property that was set aside for job creation. That's all I'm bringing up here. If you can get me a clear bill of health on this,
well, that's why,
and you've not given me one.
well, that's why I'm giving you these reports like
You need to
this.
give that to the ARC and tell them that we have met their goal and not change a piece of property from C2 to R3.
I don't see that we need the ARC approval. I understand what you're
Gentlemen, I
saying.
have a question, if I can.
Yes, I'll recognize you.
Thank you. How many units are we discussing?
This is 90, yeah, I know, we kind of jumped ahead here.
That's all right. How
We're
many
talking about
units?
96 units on 12 acres. So that would be about 8 per acre. Versus in typical R3 can go up to 12 or even a little bit more, but we're not looking for that. We're looking for 96 units on a total of 12 acres.
What about the power lines over there? Have you looked into that?
Yeah, oh yeah. As a matter of fact, if you look at, let me show you this picture.
I don't even want to talk about
No,
that. You can talk about them. My only issue is my ARC grant.
Okay, well, in regard, this layout was designed around that. The reason this parking lot is like this, and I don't know if you can see it. See that line right there, That's the power lines. So the parking is put underneath all the easement. This layout takes into account every easement that exists on the property, and still gives us a lot of green space. We have dog parks, we have tennis courts, 2 swimming pools, all kinds of green space, not asking the city to spend any money to support our project. This is totally self-funded private money.
How many permanent jobs would that project create?
According to my numbers, close to 50. And now, not counting what the people that live there, all the jobs that they can support.
Correct.
Because of having 100 families move into town.
Yes.
Where are those 50 jobs?
Pardon me?
Where are the 50 jobs?
It's throughout the entire, not just the, there's 6.
Construction jobs won't count in the ARC.
No, well, I know that. No, construction jobs, there's 161 construction jobs for during the 1 year of construction that would be supported. 161.
But that don't give you any points for the ARC. It's one of the lines there.
I understand.
JR, you said how many jobs, 40?
Yes.
Well, in your, on this first sheet, you said when it talks about the operation, it says 100 apartments. That says 6 jobs.
Under the resident, looking at what the residents, then by having 100 family to the left, that they would support. Those 100 residents would be supporting 33 jobs because of their, they're living in town, they're going to the local restaurants, they're spending money at the grocery, having the dry cleaning done, they're living here. So 100 families' incomes come in, and that it's a kind of an ancillary, it's a one-off support of jobs, as contrasted with what we have now, which is vacant land. Now, one of the things, if you look in this book, just if you flip to the first tab, you'll see a copy of the zoning ordinance from Jasper. And I just highlighted one. It's interesting. There are 18 specific permitted uses in C2 that I highlighted in yellow. It's in this one. But there's 18 I highlighted in specific in yellow that would create virtually 0 or no jobs. One permitted use is a cell tower, which creates 0 jobs for the local economy. So that we could have a boat storage, contractor equipment, material storage. I can be doing that there right now and generating virtually 0 jobs and do that in perpetuity. What we're proposing is that the apartments are a far step above and way better than any of these things that are already here.
Do we have any idea of the 300 jobs that the grant required, how many we have created, Jim?
No. First I heard of the study was this evening.
Bill, do you have an opinion on?
I have one, I always have an opinion.
Do you see a
the only thing that, after listening to all this, I don't know what the rules are. I wasn't part of negotiating grants or loans or whatever it was. But I know one thing.
Bill, I beg your pardon, sir.
Was
You
it?
and I and Joyner Smith and Ben Turnipseed
Okay.
sat in the room for days
Well,
talking about.
I've slept.
Yes, you have.
But the only thing that concerns me is that, why don't you get something from the ARC? So that you don't have to worry about paying that money back,
Or not being eligible for the next grant.
which I think the next one's coming up.
We're hoping so.
I mean, what damage
On
could
call
that do?
tomorrow, maybe?
What damage could that do? I mean, just so you don't have to pay the money back.
Well, let's look at your letter from Tammy Decker. Do not recall the use period may have been in place.
2 years. We're at it.
Please let me know when you would like to research this. At that time, I will give you specific location and if possible, specific project. I will find what I can.
And she's the chairman of the rural development. She replaced a gentleman who was, at the time, Joyner Smith was the chief operation officer of the
When I
rural
went out
development.
and looking at it the last couple of days, there was a merger that went on.
No, there was a retirement that took place. And she actually worked on one of our last grants as Mr. Smith was leaving. And I'm not real sure it wasn't this one, but they have to go back. I talked to the Regional Development Center, the RC now, Regional Center, out of Rome, and I talked to Denver Stone, and he was more in charge of the grant versus the gentleman you spoke with. But that's all we need. We need to get the ARC approve this, allow us to move forward, change zoning on a piece of property that they were holding our feet to fire 4 years ago. And they, Lisa will tell to this that they were, how many, year and a half they chasing after this particular grant? And they'll pick one from time to time and they'll come back, and I believe that tells you, basically says they'll be back to look at this particular job. And if we would change a piece of zoning that was job creation, we're going to have some explaining to do.
I think that's what the point of some of these documents are, is to show what jobs that multifamily does create. And I have to back up and ask the question about it. When you take the jobs at Walmart, Home Depot, and Kroger alone, that's got to be 300 jobs. The number has to have been met way before this ever was done. What about all this business on Confederate Avenue?
If you'll stop by Mr. Linden's office, you guys make a phone call to the ARC, explain to them where we are, and give this council a little leadership into the future of this property that was set aside for job creation. That now we're going to have homes there, or R3 as you have it. And with that, the council should be able to do what they want.
May I review the document, Ms. Weasley? Or may we review
Yes,
it?
yes. You get your copies of it.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Could we approve the stipulation with the clearance of the ARC? I mean, are we looking at a timeline again, they're trying to do, could it be approved with that? Can we have the tenants so we're not paying them? Instead of trying to have another meeting with this that we've had in the past, could we do it that way?
We think that's a possibility.
Conditional approval.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I'm
want,
just
probably, I
asking
want
if
to
we
protest, I want this to stay on the eye until we get it cleared up. We prove this ARC, the public needs to know this is job creation property, and we met with these developers years ago. We were all happy when these guys came and bought the property, and job, and tough times hit, and Joe can tell you, we all
We haven't
suffered.
created hardly any jobs.
And so, I think the ARC would approve that, but we need to get their blessing on this. And I can't get an engineer, I can't get a rural development person to tell me that we're clear on it. They won't tell me yea or nay. I asked my engineer today to send me a letter saying he wouldn't. Or he could, they wouldn't do it. So, and I'm catching up on that.
I'm just here for the zoning and for my end of the application, so I don't know what you have to do as a city. I'm happy to support, but I like her suggestion.
I know you do, but that would need to be a good move, that we need to get it cleared up, come back and approve the zoning.
I don't know why you have to wait.
Because you can't start without it.
I'd like to make a motion to conditionally approve the approval of zoning for this development pending the ARC's agreeing that we've met the conditions of the grant.
I've got a motion, and it sounds like we got an echo, we got a second. You are getting an attitude now. You do this, and I will not sign the document they need to be sent to. Because ARC's got to sign off on this. My name is on it now, theirs is not.
It's a conditional
Mr. Pickett.
approval.
Sir?
Is this legal, what we're doing?
Some things that you can do with stipulations, but zoning laws are a lot different. Be quite honest with you, I think you're opening up a can of worms that could be solved by just a little bit of investigation. So that we don't have to go into executive session, just look up the law.
I've got a motion, I've got a second, any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Don't start anything until this council gives you, or this administration gives you go ahead.
I'll call off my Bobcat rental for tomorrow.
You might sure. Item C, New Year's Eve celebration request. Jasper Merchants Association. I know you want to really follow that, so go ahead.
Yes, I'm almost scared to be here now, so. So,
We know none of
let
us.
my heart will stop beating a little bit after that, and we'll go on. So I'm actually here for a couple of things, to talk about New Year's Eve. This will be our second year after we took it over last year from the city. And we are happy to sponsor it again this year. But the reasons that I am here today is obviously to talk about street closure, because you know that's my job when I come here, and to also ask for some funding. I'm not sure which you want to address first. So
Whichever
I'll just
you would
choose
like.
street closure.
Street closure.
So we're asking that the street be closed at 6 p.m. And when I say the street be closed, that would be from Highway 53 to DB Carroll. At 6 p.m. so that the DJ is able to get set up, our vendors all set up. At what time? 6 p.m.
Okay, is that not a little late though? Normally it's earlier.
Well, that would be great if we could go earlier. We figured the latest we could go is 6 p.m. So.
It's amazing what this council approves. I'd asked earlier. You gonna need the time?
Yeah. Exactly, it's amazing what they'll approve, and I'm just happy that we could get it at 6 o'clock if able. If we're able to go earlier, that is great. But one of the things that I did want to talk about is, and I don't know if Lonnie can address this or not, but in past years, you've had the stage turned. What is the process to have that turned? Because we're trying to break the wind, it's so cold.
As far as
You know, like where it was at for today, or for yesterday?
there in front of the courthouse.
Yeah, instead turning it so that it's got the back of the stage pointing north.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna close the street, if you're gonna do that, then it's just a matter of putting, you're talking about up in front of the Progress like we have. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of relocating it. I mean, if you've got the streets closed, there's not a problem.
Okay, that would be great.
Let me address that.
Yeah.
The thing about that, you're gonna need a crew to come in at midnight and take it down. The other
We'll
location,
have to have a crew to open it back up.
Right.
That's,
So that, I'm just kind of throwing things out here because it was brought to us and.
because of expense, we kind of did away with the New Year's Eve celebration, and so that's gonna bring the expense back. It'll bring a crew up, set it up there.
Okay, then we're good, we're leaving it where it's at. But I had to ask the question, so I'm good.
Okay.
So we definitely need to have, set up well before.
But you asked for 6,
I mean, I would love 4 o'clock.
what about 5? Give everybody a chance to close their storefronts down and move out, and you can start closing it off. Who you gonna need to have you close the streets?
The police. And I've spoken to Lieutenant Dawkins. He was gonna get started finding people to work and take care of all that. I haven't heard from him this week though, but
How's that gonna be funded, Jim?
they're funded.
we are.
Yes, that's yours, okay.
Yes.
Let's shoot for 5 o'clock or 5:30. That way it'll still be daylight. You can set up, you don't have to set up as large as we have in the past, and you'll be able to do your thing.
Yeah, and the stage can go up at any time since it's gonna go where it's
I've
sitting.
got someone here who's a merchant, yes,
It's a Monday night.
okay.
Doesn't affect me. You can close at 4 or 5, but other businesses are open, including Jack Dunn, past 5 o'clock. It's a Monday night,
Yeah.
and the next day's a holiday. Everybody's closed, especially the drugstore.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
so what are you saying? Say it again, 5 o'clock?
Well, they like us seniors, you know, medicine.
Okay, 5 o'clock,
And we
that
don't
sound
get
good?
there early
Are
enough.
you closed that day?
No, I'm on. It doesn't affect me. I'm just saying, don't forget last year it was on a Sunday.
Yes.
This year it's on a Monday.
Yeah, we actually bring you a lot of business.
Oh, you absolutely do. I don't
Yes,
want
we
you to
do.
move the stage either, but. But I'm just saying it's a
Well,
Monday.
obviously the stage is not moving, so.
Right.
We've made you happy tonight.
But it's just a Monday, and I don't know, just let everybody, if you close it earlier, make sure people know, you know, if you get your scripts from Jack Dunn, you show up at 4 and the street's
You
closed.
also have people trying to get home at that time of the evening as well, so if you
Yeah,
could
that's what I'm
actually keep
saying.
it
Close
open
it
till
Monday.
6, that would work better on the public and probably on your budget.
6 PM works for me, we will make it work.
Yeah, that's
Because the
something.
stage is gonna be where it's at right now,
Yes.
it's not gonna be that much, and the DJ was okay with 6 PM, so I'm
Yeah, I
good.
think
Right.
6
Okay.
should be all right.
Let's get a motion from the council to close the street at 6 PM that you're requesting, and sorry about creating
Yes, sir.
this problem.
No, that's fine.
And you're opening it back up at 1, I'm assuming?
Yeah, as soon as they get out of there, we hope probably, you know, by 1 is what we ask for.
Okay, I need a motion. Motion to approve the request from 5 to 1, thereabouts. You should be out
I thought we
at
were doing
1:30.
6.
6 to 1.
Did I say, okay, I'm sorry, I changed it backward, I give it to you. Okay,
Yes.
6 to 1.
Yes.
We got a second discussion? Being all in favor, vote with your hand. Unanimous?
Okay, the second reason I'm here is, we are in need of funding. So I've gone before the county commissioners, and now I'm coming before the city council to ask for a $1,200, what's the word I'm looking for? $1,200 to help fund it. We cut the cost down a little bit compared to last year. We're thinking we need about $6,000. What I've asked for is
County committee.
500.
Oh,
What did we do last year? What did we do?
The DJ was already taken care of last year, and then we 15, was it 15?
1,500?
1,500 last year, yes. And then the DJ.
And then as last year, y'all will be doing cleanup afterward.
Yes, we already have a request into the sheriff to do like we did last year and use the prisoners. And we've already allotted for officers if that needs to be. If not, then we will make sure that it's done. We will hire someone to do it. Yeah, it was very efficient. They were done in 30 minutes last year. It was very quick because it was cold and they were running really fast. So,
If you can arrange for it to be freezing cold, they'll work fast again,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
With that, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve the 1,200 requested. Second.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Being all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council.
thank you very much.
Question, would you
Yes, sir.
allow them to touch base on the Christmas parade, maybe?
Yeah, sure. You want to give an
I would be
update?
happy to give a report on the Christmas parade. As we know, it was scheduled for Saturday. And we got together around noon on Saturday and discussed, and everybody looked at their weather apps. And we made the decision, rather than to cancel, to just postpone. So we all made as many phone calls to as many people as we could. Is this something we can do? Are we not able to do this? We came up with the decision that that's what we were gonna do, is postpone till yesterday. I really can't speak to the front of the parade because I was at the back, so some other people can probably do so. We were really happy with the turnout. We've only lost 2 of our floats and actually gained one that had been in the ball ground parade, was the semi-truck with the Santa sleigh on it.
I
So
thought you
we,
were going to say the bass boat coming back in Carter.
say that again?
I thought it was a bass boat that was coming back in Carter.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but,
It was really raining.
so for us postponing it, we gained back the football team, the cheerleaders, the band, because they were not able to be in the rain, so, it was a tough decision for us to make, but we feel like it was the best decision. I've had several phone calls today saying that they thought it was probably the best turnout they've seen in the 12 years that we've done it, as well as, people seem to really like to have it on Sunday, so, I was very pleased with the way it turned out. Even as much stress as we all went through on Saturday, it was the right move.
A lot of overlap with the tour homes too, which is
And
really
we love
exciting.
that, and we want to maybe look at and keep doing that, because that was a great
Good
thing.
luck with that on my end. Yeah, they sold 500 tickets and, I mean, not that many people come through, but it was a nice crowd.
It was a nice crowd. We were down there a couple times, and I was impressed.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
Item D, David Hall, request for approval of pump at Cold Well.
I have the paper up there with each member that I handed out the other night, but I'm going to give you another copy just in case on the estimate on installing the pump at the new cold well number 3. Total cost of $24,659.60. This pump council has previously approved. It was on the budget under Sioux Water Source. We had $50,000 set aside for that. We've only spent $15,000 of that so far, actually drilling the well. Of course, the next phase of this is to test the well and do a pump test. And as we talked the other night, we can go ahead and install a pump and a motor that if we need to, we can use on one of the other wells versus paying for a drawdown to be done. So it's already on the budget, but Jim said it'd be a good idea to make sure you guys were okay with us using the same company, Byers Well Drilling, that actually drilled the well.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve the request for the cold well pump. What was the number again, David?
$24,659.74.
Need a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, discussion. Being all in favor, show of hands. Thank you, council. Thank you, David. Item E, request for approval for the 2018 annual audit firm, Rushton and Company. Ms. Hoyle?
Council, in your packet, and I gave this to you the other night, there's the engagement letter from Rushton and Company. 3 years ago, they offered to keep the fee the same for the next 3 years, and this is the last year of that. The audit will not exceed $17,290, and an additional $5,000 if there were to be a single audit, which should be required this year. And we're asking that you approve the signing of this engagement letter.
Entertain a motion. Get a motion to approve the engagement letter.
Second.
Motion second, discussion.
Ms. Lisa, the single audit you were discussing, that's if we receive federal money at what level?
$500,000.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote with show of hands. Item F, request for approval of employee Christmas bonuses. Lou?
Council Mayor, at the work session Thursday night, we had a discussion of this subject and looking for a recommendation for consideration.
I make a motion to give the Christmas bonuses and a one-time service award in the following amounts. Less than 1 year of service, $150. 1 year to 10 years of service, $250. 11 to 19 years of service, $500. 20 years or more of service, $750. $100 from each tiered amount is the Christmas bonus. The remainder is a one-time service award to recognize the dedication of each employee.
Have a motion?
Second.
Motion second, discussion.
What was the second? You said 250 for
Yes, ma'am.
what group?
1 year to 10 years of service, $250. This is, while we're in the discussion phase, this is, we're discussing a salary study, job descriptions being set, and performance evaluations coming the city's way. And this is one step in the right direction.
Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote with show of hands. That's unanimous. Item G, alcohol license renewal for 2019. Mr. Underwood.
We have had everybody but 2 people renew their license. The ones that have renewed it this month is Bubba Q, Pat's Cafe, Ingles, China Convenience, Quick Trip, Racetrack, The Last Catch, Murphy USA, and Salmini Rovila Teak LLC. We lack the Woodbridge and Madeline's.
Okay, let's leave that out this moment. Entertain a motion for council to approve those that were presented for renewal.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you. Some of those you just mentioned have just been approved. Now, who has not that you anticipate?
Who has not is Madeline's Cafe and Bakery and the Woodbridge Inn. But at this time, the Woodbridge Inn is subject to being sold. And at this time, they are operating under Han's license, which doesn't run out until the 31st of December.
Okay.
Ms. Henderson, I think, is the lady that's buying the Woodbridge. And she is coming in tomorrow to apply for her own license of beer and wine. And then that will be considered by the council for the next 2 meetings.
This is, okay, this is, we got another meeting?
Beg your pardon?
This is
This will
December
be
meeting.
next year.
So she will not be able to start the new year with a beer and wine license? Did she realize that?
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Senator, for that information.
Sonny, what about Carlos? Was he in that?
I'm sorry.
Carlos from Wingsology?
Who is that?
I understand he's here tonight to ask the council something, I don't know.
Well, I have my application in for renewal for beer and wine, right?
Right.
Okay, that I do have, so that would have been approved in
I
the
was
first
just
one.
Was his name Solomonus?
Beg your pardon?
Now,
No,
No,
That's when your son pronounced it again.
I know.
Okay.
Teak LLC.
Okay, with that, I guess we're done, finished with Sonny's, request. You have anything else, Mr. Underwood?
No.
Okay, since we're talking about alcohol, we just happen to have a guest. Would you like to defer part of your time
Yes.
to Carlos? Carlos, would you like to approach the council since we don't have anything official? It's always exciting when you approach the council.
oh, yeah, that's it, no,
Yes, sir, you have yourself.
I feel a little under the weather today. Thank you.
You just set up, you can, be on TV. What can we do for you, sir?
I was going to ask for an application for distilled beverages too. So, for 2019, on top of the beer and wine. You know, we've been going back and forth with the, are we gonna lower it, aren't we gonna lower it, looking at it. I spoke with Jim the other day and Kurt. And I said, from what I understand, only 3 more businesses would possibly go for the liquor, the full distilled, correct, Jim? Yes. So my suggestion was, at the current rate of income for the 5 existing distilled liquors,
By the
restaurants,
drink,
bars,
we
right.
got it by the drink.
Yeah, it's $15,000. So you have 3 more committing, which would take it from 5 to 8, and divide the 15,000 by 8, lowering it about $1,200 roughly, making it $1,875 for distilled liquor.
Okay.
So that's a possibility. I would like to put an application in for distilled. I know you have to go through 2 meetings before you can approve that. But
Commissioner Carlos, and I believe that would be an ordinance change that's going to take 2
We've
meetings.
addressed this already. And you missed the meeting when we came up with the final solution.
Well, I know. Because I didn't know you were having that final solution there. But either way, I didn't know that it would be, just get the ball rolling per se. I don't know that I'm going. So my question would be this, if you did approve it, I probably wouldn't be able to get licensed till February anyhow. But
We couldn't approve a change of ordinance, already charged people for the year.
Yeah, we have we're already there.
Yeah.
Why don't you just fess up for the full amount and be a full service bar?
Well, I guess if I'm applying today, then by January 1st, I could fess up for the full amount. And hopefully, after you review it again.
We can look at you like with everyone else.
Right.
You can catch Mr. Underwood, if you'll write him a check tonight, we probably barely get you under the wire.
No, sir.
It's too late for him, and,
Yes. Anyhow,
well, any questions, Mr. Carlos from the council?
for me to cancel.
Well, from the end of the year.
That's what I thought you meant.
so he's not on the approved list, that was my question.
You don't have a
No,
light drink.
not for distilled, just
Beer and wine.
for beer and wine. For beer and wine, yes,
No, we
right?
didn't put you on the beer and wine.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the
Am
question.
I on the approved for beer and wine? I have my application in for beer and wine.
Yes, you have been approved.
Okay,
They approved you tonight.
thank you. Yeah.
What's the name of his firm?
Wingsology.
Wingsology.
Oh, it's called Wingsology. I think I remember hearing you say.
We kept it simple, we made the LLC the same as the DBA, so we wouldn't forget.
First Mountain City Bar and Grill.
That's it's a good name. I have to still liquor.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
But anyhow, I'm just, look,
Well,
we are struggling, okay, to make it. It's that simple, all right? Business doesn't get driven down to the main street unless there's an event like Christmas parade, which, you know, yeah, sure, when we have New Year's, Christmas, Jeep Fest, and Marble Fest, we do tremendous.
only got 361 more days to go.
There you go. And that's the killer. So, and like we asked before, what's the vision to drive business, not only to Main Street in Jasper, but just to Jasper in itself? And is the vision of the council to grow and have visitors, not necessarily just by homes and creating new homes, which helps too, but there's other ways if you want to control growth to drive business to the city, which is good business you're driving. And I think it's all by advertising and promotion, which I don't see, you know, and I think that starts with, personally, maybe a better website for the city, promoting stuff that we do have here, our mountains, our wineries.
Are you jumping on the city because I didn't like your lighting?
No, not at all. I'm not,
Carlos, the
not
chamber's
at all.
working,
I'm just looking for answers and direction.
the chamber's working on a vision, and I know you've talked to Amberly.
I did, but to be honest with you, Dr. Proctor, and I love Amberly, she's great, but the plan for the chamber is to hire somebody to create a plan.
No, that's not accurate.
Okay, well, basically, that's what I got from my meeting.
Right.
And I understand that too, because at least that's going in the right direction. But that's what I came away from that meeting with, nothing else that gave me a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, so, you know, and that's all I'm looking for. And I'll help in any way I can, suggestions, whatever. You know, I think it's done by websites, email blast. There's people that live in the city. There's a lot of people
No,
that come up
I
from.
think I have something that's gonna top that. Lisa, could we recall the motion? I don't remember him being on the list.
I didn't
I believe we made a motion and he's not on there.
Cut your list up, son.
I beg your pardon?
Your list with his beard wine.
We made a motion.
I did not his name down.
And I didn't, that's why I asked the question as well. I don't think he called your name out, so that was why I
Did you
was.
approve him last month?
No, he was approved in November.
See, he's already been.
Actually, he was approved today. We had 3 people that had to be in by today, or they could not have
We're not having another meeting.
you're not gonna have another meeting in 2018, so there would not be another chance. So 3 people I went to see today paid their money today, and he was one of them.
Okay, we just wanted to make
No,
sure.
thank you.
I mean, cause I
Yeah,
didn't
I don't want to be
hear
out in
your
the
name.
cold, so. Yeah.
That'd be terrible, shutting down New Year's Eve.
I had
and
no wine and beer or
Or
distilled.
anything, so, okay, that's what I wanted to know.
You're good till 12 o'clock.
You're good to 12, so sell it before then.
Would that be-
That's good, because nothing good happens after 12, so. But anyhow, I'm just looking for some direction, looking for ideas, a plan. And is that the plan? Is that the vision? Maybe it's just keep it how it is, I don't know. I don't know what you just want to do. But when I look around us and I see LJ booming and Blue Ridge booming, and I think our downtown area and city is much nicer than any one of us. What do they simply do
Middle
to try?
downtown lines, we looked at a lot of that, but when you're the only draw down there, what
But all
is-
fairness, Ann, let me tell you something. Until we start drawing people there, nobody else is coming to open businesses.
I know, and it's a catch-22,
Yes, it is.
but you're the only one down there that's open, it's hard to say go
New York
downtown.
Pizza's open too, and Woodbridge is. And New York Pizza, I think, is open 7 days a week, not 6, you know? And that's fine, because there's inexpensive ways to drive business to Jasper and draw these people that are driving past us and go into LJ every weekend, and during the week too, during Apple Fest. And it's just a matter of marketing. Like I've said before, we have a billboard bigger than this wall out on 515 that says, "Come visit Cartersville." And so I don't know what it takes to put billboards up. I don't know what the cost is, who funds it, who is willing to fund it, aside from the chamber, is the city too. But I just wanna get the ball rolling to know where we go and start doing these things. That's all I'm asking.
Any final questions, Carlos? Son?
One other thing I neglected to tell, and I'll probably bring it up next month, so I need to go ahead and tell you about this. One other restaurant that has not paid for their alcohol license this year is Pueblo Grill. And I can't speak for them, so I don't know what they're going to do. But they are one of the 5 people that hold a liquor license in the city of Jasper.
I think after the first of the year, we're not gonna try to start this tonight.
Right.
After the first of the year, even though it's gonna entail changing the process, whatever, I will form a committee in January, 2 people, 2 council members, that will work with you and study the possibility to come back with a more focused effort to get the council to look at dropping the prices, even though this year we've already got people paid.
So one other question, for the future also. If you couldn't lower the cost, could you break it down into payments? I think Woodstock did that in the beginning of their career when they were building the downtown. They broke their liquor licensing up into monthly payments.
So you pick the much you want.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, if I apply for my license in June, you're gonna prorate it for 6 months anyway.
Actually, we've changed that rule, didn't we, Sonny, to keep people from picking out the best 3 months and not buying
Yes,
them the other.
the council has to approve whether they get one or not.
Right, yeah, we kind of stopped that,
Well,
picking when you want it.
Yeah, but it makes sense though if I do
It's so
business.
difficult to get a liquor license anyway. I can't understand why anyone would want it for 3 months when you have to go through
No,
that process.
the only reason for 3 months would be if you just come to the city and you open your restaurant, so like I originally did, I opened in June.
Again, let me start by saying that we gotta move forward, but be here in January. I will form a committee that will work with you and anyone else in town to look at this, because we need to start this in January. Hopefully 2020 or 2020 would be the time when we would start making these changes. You started hitting us toward the end of the year when we were trying to get our lives.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I wasn't sure if I was staying or not until a few weeks ago. I was really thinking about pulling out, because, and then I've had this discussion before, and I've even had this discussion with the chief. I could have went to Atlanta, I could have went anywhere else to go into business. I chose to come here. And I like it here. But if I'm not making money and I'm struggling, and I know part of my decline is me being out of the restaurant for a good 8 weeks when I had my surgery.
Right.
That hurt me too, that set me back, because I lost my main cook, he was gone for a month to Italy. I wasn't there, and I really didn't have anybody at the helm, so I know the food wasn't coming out consistently and the service was off. I lost at least $2,000 to $3,000 a week in income from
Right.
it. And that's why I'm at.
Well, we're very interested in seeing you succeed, and we will start this in January. We can't start you with a license in January unless you want to pay the full deal. And we're very sorry that you're having issues. We love our Main Street and the fact that we got businesses and more businesses to open. We want New York pizza to prosper. We like 61 Main, and we like 2 more restaurants to open up. And you will ultimately, with that, if you could get 5 or 6 restaurants on Main Street, you would be a destination.
Absolutely.
And so right now, we're, by the way, that's open, we'll stop location.
Right.
So we need to change that, and we'll look at that, if you will, let us finish our meeting tonight. We'll start this in January.
I was disappointed when McRae's Tavern backed out in the corner.
Well, we're still looking at
Because that would have been a great add to the downtown area.
Thank you for coming, we appreciate your interest.
Thank you.
Mayor's report, financial report, Lisa, got anything to add?
Council, you have the finance report in your book for November of 18. We collected $119,999 in local office sales tax this month, for a total of $1.1 million for the year. about $100 more than last year at this time.
Local option, okay, that's not SPOS, Council, that's local
This
option.
is local option. Supplies, we collected $93,384 for a total of $983,000. Our cash balance right now in Supplies County is $782,650.
So we're just a little short of $1 million this year on the SPOS.
Almost 800,000. All funds are at or right below budget. We've got 1 month left to go. Unless y'all have any questions, that's all I have to add.
Questions, council? Okay, Lonnie, road and other?
Okay, just a couple of things. I went to meet with the DOT up at the Cass White exit out from Carsville to one of their district offices. And there's been a contract that has let out to Bartow Paving. They are supposed to be moving in this week, or definitely the following week, to close the crossing at Antioch Church and 515. The city, the land in 3 corners is inside the city limits. That's the reason they included us in this meeting. But they're putting in what's called a J-turn, and you can't cross anymore. You will have to go toward LJ to come to Jasper, and you'd have to go toward Jasper to go to LJ from those 2 roads. But that contract has been let to Bartow Paving, and they'll be moving in and starting to work out there. The other thing is, met last week with the gentlemen that are the company that's putting in the mass light arms at Main Street and at Community Bank. They were looking at our utilities, looking at the sites. They were up here at the red lights. They are doing 2 in Gilmer County and 1 in Fannin County. And most of those areas are grass and just dirt. So they're going to do them first. And plus our mass arms have not been here, gotten here yet. So by the time, they're hoping that by the time our mass arms gets here, that they will be done with the other jobs and they will start construction. And they want to be very careful and take their time in. We got the basketball monument there. They're going to be very protective of it. DOT has instructed them to wrap it in plastic and make sure that they don't get cement on it. They've got some specific instructions. They understand our water line is real close to the bank there, so they're looking at that. But it could be the end of February, 1st of March before that happens, once our mass arms gets here.
Any questions, council?
Do you have an update on the brush?
Actually, that was discussed today. They have had problems with different companies. They've had the second company came up here and started to work right above Philadelphia Church Road. They moved up to Appalachian Court. They lost the contract. Don't know why. That's the DOT issue. They spoke today that they actually have another company and they will be coming in, didn't they say, Jim, January? January. And they feel real good that this company will take care of the problem.
Lots of bad luck getting people to do the work.
Before we move forward with this, J-turn in Talking Rock, I want to go on the record, I'm sure with the mayor of Talking Rock, worst idea possible that they could be doing up there. And we've had fatalities there, few fatalities. It's a very dangerous intersection as it is, but I don't see what they're doing is going to make it any better. And the only way to make it better, and I'm not an engineer, but I did spend the night in Holiday Inn Express once, they should put a traffic light there and turn State Route 136 all the way down to Talking Rock. They have just closed Talking Rock economically. You can't get to Talking Rock from there. And I think they've not created a safer environment for the firemen to be running calls up there. And I still live in fear of coming off the hill from Biggins, coming down, just watching the cars move in front of me like a slow wreck waiting to happen because you're doing 80 miles an hour. This is the most dangerous intersection from Biggins to, well, inside the city limits, out to the water tower coming north, south. It's just dangerous. People have been crushed with actually high speed. Randy, you got anything to add to that, being a fireman and a mayor of Talking Rock?
Well, I'd just like to say I'm highly disappointed in Rick Jasper because he's the one that said he got stopped and then all of a sudden it popped back up. So.
Who had it stopped?
Rick Jasper
Did he really?
He said he did anyway.
I thought it was stopped. I'd heard rumors it had been stopped as well, and they forgot to tell the DOT. But anyway, just all the people who's listened to this discussion tonight, just be careful coming from LJ to Jasper and vice versa, because it's going to be confusing to begin with. And Randy Banks said it best, wasn't it, at the public hearing we had in Talking Rock? I don't go that way anyway. I go down on Highway 5 when I go to the city of Jasper.
Well, I would like to add that disappointed in Commissioner Jones too, because I mean, he was at
Well, we got to be careful now. We're talking about federal commissioners.
Like I say, I mean, he was at that meeting too, so he didn't have none either.
That's a state route, they'll do what they want, but everyone knows that there was an effort. Public hearings are just that, we get to voice our opinion and move on, that's what we do. Anyway, thank you guys. Next item is Police Chief Lovell. You can do it now, Greg, if you want.
Alrighty, the Jasper Police Department for the month of November responded to 732 calls from the 911 center, responded to 57 motor vehicle accidents, issued a total of 93 citations for the following: 1 DUI, 52 speeding, 2 seatbelt, 2 shoplifting, 2 unlawful use of wireless device, that's texting and driving, 1 uninsured motorist, 29 miscellaneous, and 4 suspended or revoked. Georgia State Patrol issued a total of 129 citations for a grand total in city court of 222. Issued a total of 20 state warrants for the following: 1 for theft or loss of mislaid property, 2 misdemeanor shoplifting, 1 felony shoplifting, 2 entering auto felony, 3 financial transaction fraud card felony, 1 false imprisonment, 2 simple battery, 1 sexual battery, 2 criminal trespass, and 5 counts of destruction of officer felony. Miscellaneous calls responded to: 43 alarm calls, 16 domestics, 12 harassments, 6 trespassing and loitering, 59 suspicious activity, 28 domestics, and investigated 1 burglary.
Questions, council? Steve?
Mayor and council, for the month of November, the city's fire department responded to 83 emergencies. Those were no structure fires inside the city, 1 outside the city, 2 vehicle fires inside, none outside, no grass or brush fires in or out, 13 motor vehicle accidents with injuries inside the city, none outside, 27 emergency medical calls inside, 28 outside, 12 other calls in, none out. As of the month, it was 1,215 calls. Our inspection looked at 2 sets of plans and conducted 18 inspections.
Questions, council?
Steve, it's Christmas. Got anything to say about Christmas trees and decorations?
Most definitely. Keep your Christmas trees watered and check your lights. I shared a video on the fire department's Facebook page not long ago of a Christmas tree fire. It takes less than 30 seconds. Or it can take your house totally involved in the living room or wherever your tree is. So if you're gonna have a live Christmas tree, please be careful with it.
Thanks, Steve.
I'd like to thank all the guests for being here this evening. Mr. Simmons, can I ask you what the heck you're doing here?
I didn't have anything better to do this evening.
David was our former finance director way back in when. And David, what used to be your favorite word when I want to overspend on something? Where's the money tree?
I've already forgotten.
Who's with you?
This is my daughter Olivia. I'm here. She's part of the Pickens Teen Leadership Program, so she's here as one of the requirements for her Course of study there is to attend a public service meeting, so she's here for credit.
Okay, does
She will need your
does she get
signature
the
before
agenda or
we leave.
anything?
Yes, we'll just need your signature on her agenda before we leave for proof that she's here.
Love to. Okay.
Mayor, may I ask Lisa one question?
Yes.
Lisa, do we have an update on the fire truck invoicing issue, or was it billed us an additional amount, or?
Yeah, you're gonna make sure the amounts are the same.
The tax form that we,
Tax form?
Oh, well, yeah, I got with the auditor, and he looked through everything, and he advised me to sign, and he said it's okay. Debbie, she called.
John, you have anything from JYSA?
They had their big cheerleading competition, which so it went very well. A lot of kids. Wrestling's going strong, so kids are staying active.
With that, we entertain a motion to adjourn. Thanks for being here.